In the last part, we saw Memori, a teenage boy who was sucked into another world where all of his classmates had special abilities. But Memori was the weakest of them all, so the goddess threw him into a dungeon where a lot of previous weak heroes had died. But Memori used his weak abilities to level up, and in the end, he was able to escape the dungeon after killing the Soul Eater. Memori had just emerged from the dungeon, covered in the blood of demons and basking in his newfound power. His rank had soared to level 18, making him stronger, more skilled, and more flamboyant than ever. He could feel his strength growing. Back in the class, Asagi was busy manipulating a D-rank hero, Sogu. She tried to instill fear by predicting that Ayaka would die and offered Sogu a chance to join their group. Asagi tempted her with the idea of bringing down the great demon empire and safely returning home. She spoke in a suggestive manner, even pressing her chest against Sogu and advising her to use her body to manipulate others. Asagi then threw a challenge at Sogu, instructing her to kill a chained demon as proof of her worthiness to join the group. If she failed, she would be thrown out, just as Memori had been. Accepting the challenge, Sogu approached the demon with a mixture of fear and determination. She managed to kill it, though not without difficulty. As the demon fell, memories of Memori flooded back to her, of the time he had saved an injured cat. Overcome with emotion, she began to cry, missing him terribly, but feeling powerless to change her situation. The next day, the goddess Vicious addressed Sogu. With a cold expression, she informed her that some of her fellow heroes had been unable to land even a single blow on a demon and were now disqualified. It dawned on Sogu that the goddess was simply discarding weaker heroes. She voiced her disagreement with this harsh policy, but the goddess merely laughed, agreeing to disagree. They struck a deal. Sogu would continue to serve as an S-rank hero, and in exchange, the goddess would stop banishing heroes. Meanwhile, Memori was deep in his own journey. He was meticulously rearranging his skills, refining them to better suit different levels and situations. It was a constant process of testing and improving. One of his experiments involved paralyzing and poisoning slimes to the point where they began to obey his commands. Among them, one slime stood out. Memori decided to keep it as his companion, naming it Higimaru. This slime would become his eyes and ears, watching his back and providing a layer of security that made Memori even more formidable. Across the continent, chaos was unfolding. The Nea kingdom had been ravaged by the forces of Bakuos, and a hefty bounty was placed on the head of Sarasa Shrine, a holy knight and princess of the High Elven nation. The bounty hunters swarmed like vultures, eager to capture the beautiful princess who was now on the run. Pursued relentlessly by the White Walkers, Saras was fighting to survive. During his journey, Memori found himself surrounded by White Walkers. Unbeknownst to him, they were hunting Saras, and now saw him as an obstacle. With their eyes set on robbing and killing him, one of them lunged forward, only to be paralyzed in midair. In a fluid motion, Memori dispatched each of them with the same ruthlessness he had honed in the dungeons. To him, these White Walkers were no different than the demons he had slain before. After dealing with the White Walkers, Memori stumbled upon Saras. She was wary, her eyes filled with caution as she gazed at him. Without hesitation, Memori paralyzed her, demanding information about the area. He was new here and needed to survive in the best way possible. Saras, caught off guard, inquired if he had encountered 4 dangerous men recently. Calmly, Memori replied that he had killed them. Shock washed over her face, but realizing the gravity of her situation, she agreed to help him. Saras revealed the existence of a forbidden witch who possessed the knowledge Memori sought. However, she warned that the witch resided in the Golden Demon Zone, a treacherous area at the continent's heart. It was filled with untold dangers, and few who ventured there ever returned. With their agreement settled, Memori released Saras from the paralysis spell, and they parted ways, each heading toward their own destinies. Memori eventually arrived at Mill City. At the gate, he posed as a mercenary, successfully convincing the guard to let him in. He made his way to a hotel and rented a room, quickly noting that the attendant seemed rather gullible. Adopting the alias Haughty Skull, Mimori took in the city's peaceful atmosphere. It was unlike the dungeon's grimness or the chaotic towns he had passed through. The streets were lined with stores, bustling with the life one might expect in a typical Western fantasy setting. No one glared suspiciously at him as he walked by. It was a welcome change. While enjoying his dinner, he overheard some locals discussing the holy knights of Mad Emperor Falcon.Cine, knights who had never lost a battle. As the night wore on, talk shifted to the Black Dragon Knights, the feared warriors who had burned the holy kingdom of Nea to the ground. Mimori listened silently, absorbing every piece of information. Knowledge was power, and he intended to have both. The following morning, Creed Harsely welcomed a group of adventurers. News had spread that a new lair had been discovered in the mill's ruins, and anyone who managed to retrieve the Cup of the Dragon's Eye from its depths would receive a handsome reward of 300 gold coins. Mimori joined the line for registration, his mind already planning how to make the most of this opportunity. As he waited, a familiar voice caught his attention. Turning, he saw Sarah standing a few places ahead in the queue, her face concealed beneath a hood. A man, thinking he recognized her, tried to flirt with her. When she coldly rebuffed him, the man's eyes narrowed. "You're Saras, aren't you?" he spat, bitterness in his voice. Rumors began to ripple through the crowd. He pushed further, demanding that she show her ears to prove she was not an elf. Saras stood her ground, but tension crackled in the air. It was clear that the situation could escalate at any moment. Later, on his way back to the hotel, Mimori encountered Miss Barkus, who, for some reason, had been mistaken for Saras. She approached him, offering to help him purchase tools for exploring the ruins. After some discussion, they agreed to assist each other. She needed money, and he needed advice. Inside the ruins, Mimori paralyzed and poisoned a demon as he moved deeper into the darkness. Soon, he overheard a conversation between the man who had confronted Miss Barkus earlier and his companions. They were plotting to kill her out of spite. Mimori intercepted them, and when they attacked, he swiftly paralyzed and poisoned them all. With a sigh, he took a brief rest before pressing on. When he finally entered the newly discovered lair, Mimori found the Cup of the Dragon's Eye guarded by a powerful demon. With his usual precision, he paralyzed and poisoned it to death. Just as he was examining the cup, he sensed another presence. Miss Barkus approached, explaining that she had been delayed by a pack of demons. He offered her the cup as a gesture of goodwill, but she hesitated. The value of the cup, a staggering 300 gold coins, weighing heavily on her mind. Mimori reassured her, suggesting she rest before moving on. She, in turn, swore to escort him, even if it cost her life. As they ventured deeper, Miss Barkus explained the phenomenon of golden-eyed demons. These creatures were influenced by a special magical element released by the great demon emperor, the root of all evil. Their primal instincts, usually suppressed, were unleashed, turning them into fearsome foes. Mimori introduced her to Piggy Maru, and she immediately took a liking to the slime, recognizing that it was tamed. After a while, Mimori sensed her fatigue and cast a spell to help her sleep. While she rested, he noticed her pointed ears and realized that Miss Barkus was, in fact, Saras Ashrain, the holy knight and princess of the High Elven nation. However, he kept this revelation to himself. When Saras awoke, she was immediately concerned about their agreement. She was supposed to guard him, but she had fallen asleep. Mimori assured her that all was well. As they explored the ruins, they encountered the formidable Skeleton King. Saras pointed out its weakness, a silver bone under its chin. She prepared to use a special ability to enhance her physical strength, intending to keep this skill a secret. Just as she was about to engage the monster, Mimori intervened. With a single spell, he paralyzed the Skeleton King and killed it with poison, leaving Saras in stunned silence. Deep within the ruins, they discovered a magical egg. As they made their way back to the surface, they were greeted by Creed Harsely. Saras received her reward with gratitude, and afterward, she requested to speak with Mimori later that evening. In the quiet of his room, Mimori was preparing a strengthening agent for Piggy Maru when Saras knocked on the door. She asked if he would hire her as his escort. Memori revealed his plan to seek the Forbidden Witch in the Golden Demon Zone. The journey was fraught with danger, and he needed a capable ally to cover his back. Saris, headed to Janato Principality, found it convenient to travel with him through the Golden Demon Zone. Memori then confessed that he knew she was Saris Ashrain, having discovered her true identity during her sleep. Saris explained that she hid her identity with the power of spirits. However, when she slept, she reverted to her original form. Memori assured her that he would not betray her, seeing her as an asset. She revealed that the White Walkers had inadvertently seen her true form, which was why they were hunting her. Memori's earlier defeat of the White Walkers had made her journey easier. With newfound trust, they shook hands and formally reintroduced themselves. Memori showed her a blue dragon stone, rare and priceless, offering it as payment for her services. As Saris took a bath and later lay on her bed, her mind was consumed with thoughts of Memori. She found herself wanting to trust him, not just as a knight, but as a princess yearning for a true companion. The next morning, during breakfast, Saris spoke of forbidden spells, magic banned by the goddess. Saris fought bravely but was eventually overpowered by Oben Gizun, the second in command. With her sword knocked from her hands, he prepared to exploit her vulnerability. At that critical moment, Memori appeared, paralyzing Oben and saving Saris. He tossed her the entire packet of blue stones and praised her as the best escort he had ever had. When he asked her to remove her clothes, Saris was taken aback, but Memori clarified that she needed to change her attire to avoid recognition. They discussed their next steps, including how the Forbidden Witch might help Saras evade the White Walkers. Saras, curious, asked why Memori was risking his life for her. With a soft smile, he replied, "You remind me of my aunt in some ways," and thus they continued their journey, bound by mutual trust and a shared goal. The road ahead was uncertain, filled with danger and mysteries yet to unfold. But for now, they walked together, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them in the Golden Demon Zone.